Travis Wayne Gazelle. So, today's NCIS episode, Tony called Delilah Wheels, because she was blown up in a previous episode and is now paralyzed, wheelchair bound. And the episode involved a previous boyfriend informant named Samson. Steroid Samson. But anyway, of course, the Samson and Delilah joke had to come up. And so I'm sitting here going, yeah, I caught that when I first heard her name. I didn't have to wait for Samson. And so, instead of Wheels, she's now Hot Wheels Delilah. And that's for any of you of my generation and older who are aware of Hot Wheels. Used to have a lot of fun playing with Hot Wheels. But everybody in the world, well, most people in the world, there are a few who suspect something. But most people believe that the story is literal history. And there's a few that finishes off the 99.99999% who recognize there's something weird going on. They can't quite put their finger on it, but they suspect something's going on. And they don't use science to develop a theory and have it tested and get confirmation to establish fact. But nonetheless, they are aware that Samson has the word Shemesh in it, which means sun. And Delilah has Lillah for Lilith. And so they are suspicious that something's up, but they can't quite put their finger on it. And so there's only one person in the entire universe, since the author who wrote the story, who knows exactly what's going on. In the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, no, it's not the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Have you not caught on by now? They teach and perpetuate that the story of Samson from the book of Judges is literal history. And so therefore it only got one paragraph in the gospel Sunday school manual, and it was last. Deborah was first. Which, and then Gideon was next, and then finally Samson. So Samson's at the end of the class, and it's unlikely that many Sunday school classes will ever get to it, because the teacher just reads from the manual, and it's designed to cover more than an hour's worth of time. And unless you were involved in the teacher development class, you are unaware that the teacher doesn't have to read the manual to you. But again, you get Mormons who insist that you not cause a scene that'll get recorded and put on YouTube for everybody to laugh at. Because you don't have the knowledge of the 0.00001. mind, so I'll read over it for you. How can you help class members discover both the inspiring truths and the important warnings from the story of Samson? Teach them the truth. Don't lie to them. One way could be to invite half the class to review Judges 14 to 16, looking for verses that show that the Lord was with Samson. Wasn't Jesus. I'll give you that. Lie number 1. The other half could look for verses that show that Samson was not fully committed to the Lord. Oh, this is the errors that are made when you think it's literal history. When you start with a false premise, your conclusion is way off base, thus wrong. Ask class members to share their feelings and emotions, what they found. What does Samson's life teach us about keeping the covenant path in the church's temple covenants? The covenants we make with God. Where do we make covenants with God? In the temple. Don't look at me like that. The statement by Sister Ann M. Dibbs. It's Dibb, technically. I was associated with Gibbs and failed. Additional resources may be helpful. That's what I'd pick up on in this. And I'd do the additional resources in class, and everybody would be going, are we allowed to learn this stuff? I don't know. Bishop, where are you? So here's her extra emotional spiritual witness insight. Samson was born with great potential. Yes, women and their potential for men. His mother was promised, he shall begin to deliver the Mormons out of the hand of the great and abominable church. Oops. Oops. That's higher level learning. That's looking beyond the mark. But Samson grew. He looked more to the world's temptations. Delilah. They just don't get it. Getting frustrated with this. Annoying me. Then to God's covenant path. Direction. He made choices because they pleaseth him well. Anybody remember Senator Orrin Hatch? When the psycho was interrogated regarding Mr. Boofing. She's pleasant to look upon. Oh my God. Oh, I was just horrified with all the videos I had to do on that one. Rather than because those choices were right. Repeatedly, the scriptures use the phrase, and he went down, as they tell of Samson's journeys. Oh, she has no clue about scripture. So this is a Christian white supremacist tactic. To read the English King James Version and assume it's correctly translated and assume that their modern culture can be imposed on what's assumed to be 3,000 years ago. It's anachronism to the extreme. Instead of arising and shining forth to fulfill his great potential. And this is why she's evil and thinking he has potential, thinking he can change him. Take away his agency. Samson was overcome by the world, lost his God-given power, and died a tragic early death. Dear God. So yeah, I gave you a sneak preview at level number 2, likening the scriptures unto ourselves. She thinks she's doing it. She's completely way off as to the cultural practices of the day. And you're thinking, oh yeah, the day, the Roman period time, that was before the Babylonian captivity and before King David in around 900 BCE. Delilah is the dead giveaway that we're looking past into the Greek period of time. Delilah is Greek. There was no Greek prior to the Greeks. Now, yes, granted, there were Paleo-Greek. The sea people. But this is where archaeological knowledge and anthropological knowledge would come in handy. She doesn't have that. Neither does the church. Neither does any of the Mormons who worked on these manuals. You've got people who are literally Bible illiterate working on these manuals. And that's why they want teachers to read the manual. It's so that Mormons don't go further astray than they're already astray. And so when a guy comes along who's an expert in the field, they're scared, they're panicked, they're confused. I thought only the president of the church had this knowledge. And yet he doesn't have the knowledge because he's never told us this knowledge. And so we have to wait for him. Or wait until we're dead. Like Samson. Ooh, there's a higher level learning of knowledge for you. And so, yeah, knowing the anthropology and archaeology of the day would help you better understand how to liken the scripture unto yourself. Knowing biblical Hebrew translation would also help you understand correctly the text, at least in the Jews who created the biblical Hebrew text, 800 to 1000 CE, not BCE, as well as, well, yeah. But then there's guys like me. Well, there's guy like me. I am one of a kind. I am unique. I am original. I'm not extra crispy, though. I like it. I'm hungry for chicken now. So yeah, I've been doing videos for years now where I throw in my knowledge of Paleo-Hebrew, trying to help you understand Scripture with a little bit better insight than what the church can ever give you. Do you understand what that means? I've already hinted at it with my comedy routine. It means the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints are frauds. Every single president of the church, and by extension, thanks to Brigham Young, every single apostle, are prophets, seers, revelators, and translators by title only. Not a single one of them, from Brigham Young to Nelson, has demonstrated ever the gifts so that Mormons can, have more than a spiritual witness, that they may know them by their fruits. Fruit isn't spiritual witness, in case you didn't know. The seed is. We will liken the word unto a seed. So we will liken the word unto a seed, which is likened unto a spiritual witness. You have to produce the word, seed, spiritual witness into fruit, physical reality. If you can't produce it into physical reality, it's not real. It's fake, and you're being deceived. So try it with Jesus. I dare you. Game, set, match. Quit arguing with me. Samson, son. Delilah, Lilith, both from where? Is it just Lilith? No, Genesis. Chapter 1, the creation story. And so, not only am I able to tell you about the meaning of the names from Paleo-Hebrew and Delilah from Greek, the D is the prefix determinative for female names in Greek. Dacia, there's one Utah with that name that I know of, and it's the female name equivalent of Esau. I meant to look that up out of curiosity. I don't memorize, so I rely on reference books. Genesis 25:25. If you'll bear with me while I check Blue Letter Bible. So knowing the names of the characters helps you understand the story and what it's about. But also, it helps you understand connections to other scriptures, and thus other Jewish scriptures, because it's not Jesus. Westminster Leningrad Codex. Scroll down to 25. Yep. Yeah. Yep. 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 It's a reverse of salvation. You know it better as Shua. As in Joshua, Shuaya, Isaiah, Jesus. It's not Jesus, it's Yahshua. So Esau is the reverse of Shua, as Isaiah is the reverse of Jesus, Joshua. It's important to know these things when you're going over Jewish scripture, because otherwise you miss out on important details that the author is trying to teach you. But in Genesis chapter 1, we have, I'm in Genesis, why not just click on the 1? We have, and God said, let there be Yah, and there was Yah. Yah was light, there light, Yah be light. But you don't know about that, because you haven't heard my videos about the King Follett Discourse. And God saw the light, that it was good, and divided the light from the darkness. God called the light day, Yam, Yam, and the darkness he called Lila, night. So at night it's Lila. And then the day we have, as we have to go down a bit, but we have the waters dividing, the dry land appearing. Oh, like the Exodus? Like Jesus in the Jordan River? Like Elijah, God Yah, and God Shua, who also go through the Jordan River? Dry ground? Yeah. And thus baptism in the River Jordan with John the Baptist and Joshua. And many other symbols used throughout Jewish scripture. Because they all connect, or shall we say circumscribed, into one great whole. Circumscribed doesn't actually mean that, does it? I looked it up one time and I'm going, that circumscribed, no, that's, wait, isn't it? Circumscribed definition. Restrict within limits. Yeah, that's stupid. Circum, like circumference, and scribe. Yeah, draw a figure around another. Draw a circle around something that's been written. That's what I understood it to mean. Geometry. Restrict within limits. That's what they mean in the temple, by the way. Not the geometry. And so for me, the scriptures are what are within the circle of meaning. The one meaning. They're all the same. That's what I'm meaning by circumscribed. The church, however, wants to restrict you, take away your agency. They made that the number one definition rather than the geometry one, which comes from the original words for geometry. God. Google. And so, yeah, Samson and Delilah are here because what goes in the firmament of heaven? Let's see, dry land appears, and then we have grass and fruit, not seed. Here we are, verse 14. The fourth day. And God said, let there be lights in the firmament, in the sky, between the waters below, or I should do it this way, the waters above and the waters below that have been divided. The dry land is risen up, and grass is growing on it, all kinds of vegetation, and now we're in the sky. And what's in the sky in between the two waters? Got to go down to 16. The two great lights. The greater light to rule the day. They don't tell us it's the sun. And the lesser light to rule the night. They don't tell us it's the moon, but only when it's a full moon. When it's a new moon, it's during the day. The two eyes of Horus of the Egyptians is the word for seer. Peter. The right eye is the sun. The left eye is the moon. Peter. Seer. And so after the lights are put in the sky, where is it? There it is, and it's back in 14. Let there be lights in the firmament of heaven to divide the night from the day, and let them be for signs in the heaven, and for seasons, and for days, and for years, and for hours, of the signs in the heavens, of the coming of who? The latter day Peter, seer. And so the sun, in between the two waters, the waters above, the waters below. So remember Samson? Shemesh? The S, or sh, is the Paleo-Hebrew symbol of water. And so you have water, and you have water. And in between, you have the M, which in Paleo-Hebrew is, I gotta do it reverse, don't I? Is the water with, no, it's gotta be this side, with the J stroke. J stroke is for human. It's from Egyptian. It's a linear script with curves. And then the water symbol above. Anybody familiar with Aquarius? Pouring out water? Yeah, it's a high priest symbol. So the high priest, between the two waters, the waters above, the waters below. So yes, every single woman now knows what I'm talking about. Because who goes in your belly and then comes out of the belly after passing through the waters onto dry land, taking his first breath? The birthright blessing son. I've got that video for you. It's porn. The Bible's full of porn. You just didn't realize it. Yeah, Samson is the Jewish Christ, told in symbolic story form. And because their Christ isn't going to come until the latter days, that means the story of Samson is about the latter days. So you didn't catch that from what the church gives you. You didn't catch that if you learned biblical Hebrew. Now do you see why I'm the one and only? Now do you understand why the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints' prophets are fake, fraudulent, abominable? And I've been going over more from the story of Samson, because of it being prophecy and having to do with signs in the heavens. Do you not think that Samson, having a direct connection with Genesis, where it says, let the lights, the sun, be for a sign in the heavens, from verse 14, be included in the story of Judges about Samson? Yeah. Rhetorical. So yeah, he kills a lion. The sun, death, lion. What would death for a sun be? Give you a hint, solar eclipse. There's solar eclipses all the time. How are we going to know when? There's only one Leo. And so you look for an eclipse in Leo. I'll give you a hint. It was right next to the star Regis, the king star. Because Samson, with the N at the end, is the suffix determinative, not the prefix determinative. Did I say prefix determinative before for Delilah with the D's? Or did I make a mistake and say suffix determinative? It's prefix determinative for the Greek D for female names. Suffix determinative here for the N, which little v, I guess I gotta go backwards, don't I, for you. That V is the crown that a pharaoh wears. Has the cobra Chi sticking out in the front for the third eye. Peter. And then the J stroke. It's this way, right? King. And if it's a place, it's kingdom. And so, yes, Samson is the sun king, not son child that Google tells you as a baby name meaning. No, king. So you have the sun king. And the death of the lion. So thus, solar eclipse next to the king star in Leo the lion. Well, you'd have to have a Urim and Thummim to find it. I have a Urim and Thummim. Yeah, because I'm also a prophet, seer, revelator, and translator. The man like Moses. So I kind of have I have an advantage over you. But I've been trying to give the gifts to you guys. What are you doing with those gifts? I didn't want to be the guy. I wanted somebody else to be the guy, and I could just read his works. But nope, I had to do it all myself. 21st of August, 2017. And there's a whole messer splits of stuff that goes along with it. It's awesome. Not just because it's Thomas S. Monson's birthday. But the ancient Egyptian religious calendar New Year. A once and forever event that the Egyptians knew and prophesied about so that we would know. And nobody knew. Not even the guy who does the Egyptian religious calendars. He didn't know. He knew it was the New Year, but he didn't make the connection. It was me. Well, prophesied by the Egyptians, recorded in Samson by a Jewish author who was Egyptian. Originally, it was during the Greek and if not Roman period time when Judges was written. And so, yeah, what's next? Come on. What's next? It's another solar eclipse. It's this year that ties in the Joseph Smith history, the second vision, the day that shall burn as an oven. Yeah, Samson's first wife is burned by the Philistines. On the 28th this month, which he's right there anyway, and so it's for several days, but the 28th, definitely. Nelson, a.k.a. Mars, a.k.a. Lucifer, is at the woman Virgo symbol for church. At her throat. He is going to betray you. He is going to condemn you to death. I've already told you this. He paid the Judas price to murder you. On what day? Say the date. Say it. The day that you'll burn as an oven. But the total solar eclipse isn't until the 14th of October in Virgo. Now, the fall of the great and abominable church and the slaughter of the Mormons. All right there in Samson. As it passes over Utah. And I'm the one and only who knows and is sharing it with you. Are you at least giving me respect and listening this far? And so yes, Samson's death is the last one. 8 April 2024, which is also in Revelation 19. The wedding supper feast of the Lamb at the Zion Temple to start the millennium. Great and abominable church gone. And Mormons can breathe easy as long as they survived. Assuming they hearkened to who? Didn't get cut off, utterly destroyed by the day that shall burn as an oven, because you hearkened? Or are you going to be rebellious? I'll show him. I won't listen, I won't believe, I'll deny. And my faith will sustain me like Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego in the furnace of fire. Yeah, good luck with that. As I walk over your ashes, I hope I don't walk, I hope I have transportation. Give me a ride. And so those crossroads of the sun god at noonday who's in his wagon in outer space, the Wagoneer, making crossroads on the earth over the United States of America, is in the form of the Paleo-Hebrew letter, which you know is A. Those Paleo-Hebrews were prophesying of the latter days with their alphabet to tell you when the latter days was. And thus their vocabulary are all about the latter days. And so not only does the baby names have meaning, and thus meaning in the stories, but it's also prophecy, as the names too are prophecy with the stories. I just gave it to you for Samson. Delilah, by the way, is the two L's, which are a reverse J stroke, so it would be this way. No, because that's the way it is, so it would be that way. But that's the J stroke. Yeah, I was doing that way, right? Confused. Trying to help you out by spelling it correctly rather than spelling it correctly for me. But yeah, it's the reverse J stroke, which is the covenant, the arm, the right arm, thus the J stroke of the arm. And then in between, the Z, which you have been told is Yah. That's the Paleo Hebrew, or the Babylonian Semitic Hebrew phonetic name for it. It's the Zeta, Z in Greek. And thus it has the top line for heaven, the bottom line for earth, and then the line in the middle for the sky, which is the Egyptian god Shu, father of Nut, Geb, daughter Lillah, son Earth, Adam, and thus Adam and Eve. And so Lillah and Samson are similar. They have the two letters that are exactly the same on either end, and then the one in the middle. Samson is the letter Z for the creation of heaven and earth. Separation of the waters and the dry land appears, with the sky in the middle, which is Yah, because Yah is the God in there. As I didn't go into greater detail, I just hinted for you, teased you with. So there you have it. And then, of course, the final letter of Paleo Hebrew is the Tau, the T, but it's a cross, not a T. And so it's the Chi in Greek, rather than the Tau in Greek. Paleo Hebrew is corresponding to Chi rather than Tau, even though Tau is the same letter phoneme as Tau in Greek. There's some problems that obviously I had to work out and correct for you. But that's what it's like being the lonely decipherer of all the ancient languages, correcting the errors by so-called scholars who didn't use science and went with their religious traditions to bias their report. So, isn't that fun? So much more that the church just won't tell you. And it all has to do with the latter days. And nobody's listening. The one and only, and you won't listen. You listen to a Mormon apologist all the way through. You pack his little room at BYU to hear him, as he doesn't give you anything. He just gives you itching ears. But the one guy who gives you things, bombshells, nope, not gonna believe.